Hello, and welcome to the Night Sky Reader. I'm here with a story to help you relax, meditate, or gently drift to sleep. Tonight, Mother of Pearl Before Dawn. Settle in, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. You ease the car into the snowy turnout and let it come to rest above the dark water. This sleep story begins with nacreous clouds, with a pre-dawn winter sky, with the simple fact that color can appear before morning seems ready for it. The headlights wash over plowed snow, a low berm, a weathered roadside post. Then you switch the engine off, and the quiet returns all at once, filling the space your arrival briefly displaced. Ahead, the fjord is almost black. It does not glitter. It does not ask to be admired. It lies level and dark beneath a range of mountain shapes that are more suggestion than outline at this hour. Above them, the sky is not yet bright, only thinned into gradations of deep blue, slate, and a dim cold silver that seems to come from far beyond the horizon. You have come for something specific. Not aurora, not sunrise. Nacreous clouds, rare high stratospheric clouds that appear in high latitudes during winter, when the upper air is cold enough and the light is low enough for them to show their strange interior colors. Even now, before you open the door, you look up to see whether any smooth pale band has already formed over the ridgeline, some first sign that the atmosphere high above the fjord is arranging itself into pearl. The car settles with small ticking sounds as warmth leaves the hood. Inside, the air still carries a faint trace of heater dust, wool, and the metal tang of the thermos beside you. Outside is cleaner, simpler. You know that in a moment the cold will touch your face and wake every bit of exposed skin, but the car stays close, a plain, reliable shape at your back. Nothing about this hour is difficult. You have driven here, parked, and stopped. Still, the mind arrives with its usual equipment. It wants to check the timing. It wants to decide whether conditions are correct, whether the faintness in the sky counts yet, whether what you are seeing is really the thing you came to see. It wants to get ready to verify. You rest your hand on the thermos and feel the heat through your glove. Then you open the door and step out into the dark blue cold. Packed snow gives under your boots with a dry, compact crunch. The sound is small and very near. After the sealed softness of the car, the air feels dense and exact. It reaches your cheeks first, then the bridge of your nose, then the narrow strip of skin between hat and collar. You stand for a moment with the door still open behind you, then close it, and the turnout returns to its own dim palette. Your breath appears immediately, not in heavy plumes but in brief white clouds that lift and disappear. They catch the little ambient light and become visible for a second, then thin into the air. It is hard not to notice the resemblance between those soft exhalations near your face and the high cloud forms you have come to watch. One is warm and brief. The other is cold and remote. Still, they both arrive as layered whiteness in a dark field. You move only a few steps from the car. There is no need to wander. The packed snow has ridges where a plow passed and the surface refroze, making shallow corrugations under your boots. Near the berm, the snow is roughened by old tire edges and a scattering of fine crystals that catch what little light there is. Below, the fjord remains almost featureless, though a slight change in tone here and there suggests the water's surface, broad and patient, holding the dim sky without emphasis. You unscrew the thermos, and the cap gives a soft click as it loosens. When you pour, a little ribbon of steam rises from the cup and folds back on itself in the still air. The heat reaches your gloves first, then the scent, faint and comforting, tea with a little mineral note from the metal. The cup fits neatly in both hands. It does not ask anything from you except that you hold it. This becomes your watch post. Car behind you, snow beneath you, berm, fjord, mountain silhouettes, sky. Cup in your hands, warmth passing through insulated fabric in a slow, steady way. Breath visible, no wind pushing at your coat, no urgency, no test, only a place to stand. You lift the cup and take a sip. The tea is hot enough to make your mouth notice itself. Then easy, Steam rises past your face. You look over it, upward. Above the mountain line, a band has appeared. At first it seems only smoother than the air around it, a long pale ribbon laid across the darker sky. Then the eye adjusts and finds more structure. Not one ribbon but several, thin and broad by turns, with edges so clean they look brushed into place. They hang high above the ordinary weather level, well above the kinds of clouds that carry snow or move in loose gray masses. These are calmer than that, more exact. Their shape has a held quality, as if the atmosphere itself were taking a long measured breath. Nacreous clouds form in the stratosphere's extreme cold, far above ordinary weather, and the low angle of sunlight is enough to kindle their iridescence. The light has not reached you yet. It has reached them. Now the first color enters, almost shyly. Along the edge of one band, a wash of pink appears, then silver green, then a pale lilac so faint it seems to belong more to the act of looking than to the cloud itself. But it persists. It sharpens. The ribbon is no longer merely bright. It is pearly, opaline, lit from within by color that keeps shifting as the angle between your eye, the cloud, and the hidden sun changes by tiny degrees. You stand more still. Across the fjord, the mountains remain dark enough to seem like a cutout, but their presence matters. Air flowing over high ranges can set up standing undulations in the atmosphere, lee waves, and those waves help organize the smooth, layered forms above. The mountains are down here in shadow. Their influence reaches upward into a place you cannot feel. It is comforting, somehow, that the shape of the invisible can be so precise. This is not aurora. There is no curtain, no green arc moving with magnetic unrest. These colors belong to cloud and light, to small, nearly uniform particles in a layer of extreme cold high above. The science does not flatten the beauty. It gives it edges, and clarity, at this hour, is restful. The bands lengthen as your eyes adapt. Some are slender as brush strokes. Some are broader, with softly corrugated interiors, as if the cloud surface has been combed into parallel textures too fine to call ripples. The palette grows fuller without becoming loud. Pink deepens toward apricot in one place, while another edge shows green so clean and pale it resembles the inside of a shell. Silver holds everything together. A faint blue-violet lives in the shaded folds. You feel the familiar desire to secure the sight, to mark the moment when it became undeniable, to have a way of saying yes, there, that was it. But the sky is not asking for a record. It is changing continuously, and the change is too gentle to divide into moments. One tint leans into another. One band brightens while another thins. The pearl effect strengthens not by any sudden flare but by accumulation, by your willingness to keep looking. So you keep looking. The tea warms your hands. Steam lifts from the cup in small layered veils, and each time you notice it, you notice the sky again, near and far echoing each other without effort. Breath leaves you, visible for an instant. The high clouds hold their color for longer. The fjord below remains almost black, but now a narrow reach of water picks up a softened stripe of pale sky, not a reflection you would call bright, only a loosening of darkness. The watch enters its longer phase. Nothing happens quickly enough to count as an event. That is part of the relief. The mind, which sharpens itself around tasks, begins to lose the need for edges. It notices the ridged snow by your boots, the way the crust breaks differently where tires compressed it days ago. It notices the slight ache in the fingers ease as the thermos cup rests between your palms. It notices the collar of your coat against your chin, the clean metallic smell rising with the tea, the way your shoulders drop when you stop comparing the sky to any memory of photographs. Above you, the nacreous bands become richer and also finer. Along their edges, the iridescence separates into delicate ordered zones. Not harsh rainbow stripes, but tender transitions, pearl into blush, blush into green, green into silver. The particles in these clouds are nearly uniform in size, and that uniformity sorts sunlight into structured sheens. The precision feels gentle. The clouds seem almost motionless at first, but if you stay with them, you see their slow alteration. A crest bulges a little more. A narrow bright seam thins until it looks drawn with chalk. One band that was lilac at its center grows pearlier, then almost translucent, before a farther band to the north takes on a green cast you had not noticed before. The richest green yet, clean as seafoam held against light. The hidden sun remains below the horizon. This display belongs to the in-between, to a geometry of light that exists before local morning arrives. You take another sip. The tea is cooler now, easier to drink in a longer swallow. Heat travels down your throat and disperses in the chest. Cold remains on your face. Together they make a balanced sensation, not comfort against discomfort, only two clear conditions at once. The car stays a few steps behind, dark windows lightly silvered by the sky. Its nearness continues to simplify everything. You are out in the cold, but not exposed. You are watching, not enduring. The fjord offers almost no commentary. That helps. Water this dark, under a sky like this, becomes a bass note, keeping the whole scene from floating away. High above, the clouds carry shell colors and fine optical complexity. Below, the water keeps its depth and silence. Between them, on the packed turnout snow, you stand with a cup in your hands and breath that briefly clouds the air. Nothing in the composition is grand. Everything is exact. If thoughts arrive from elsewhere, they do so with less force now. Ordinary inventories of work, messages, unfinished tasks, schedules, they cross the mind and do not stay. The eye has enough to do with the edge of one bright band, with the way a pale green seam fades into lilac, with the discovery that the snow berm holds a faint blush on its upper surface where the sky's color falls. Attention narrows, but it narrows into spaciousness. The longer you watch, the less the rarity of the phenomena matters as a status. It becomes simply the reason this hour looks the way it does. There are nacreous clouds in the stratosphere above a winter fjord, and you happen to be here while light reaches them from below the horizon. That is enough. A small bead of tea runs down the side of the cup and cools before it reaches your glove. You wipe it absently with your thumb. Your boots settle deeper into a place in the snow that is now yours for this hour. Breath, steam, snow, fjord, cloud, sip, stillness, pearl. The elements repeat, and with repetition they become steadier rather than duller. The highest bands are the most luminous. They carry the true nacre sheen that gives the clouds their name. Somewhere between pink and silver, between green and white, the colors seem not painted on but suspended within the cloud itself. Yet the longer you look, the more material they seem, not magic. Ice and light, extreme cold, smooth wave structure, low-angle sun. Knowledge does not reduce wonder here. It lets the wonder rest on something solid. By now, the sky around the nacreous forms has brightened a little, and their contrast begins to change. The colors are still there, even more beautiful in some narrow seams than before, but the surrounding blue has lifted toward a paler gray blue. The mountains across the fjord gain a touch more definition. Their slopes are still mostly shadow, yet you can now distinguish one ridge from another. The world below begins to reassemble itself. This too is pleasant. Nothing is being taken away abruptly. Dawn does not arrive like a curtain opening. It seeps. The fjord loosens from black to charcoal. A thin area near the far shore carries a diluted reflection of the sky. Snow on the turnout shows more of its surface. Old grit here, a crust of refrozen crystals there, one compressed tire mark half filled with drifted powder. The scene becomes more ordinary by degrees, and the clouds remain suspended above it, still refined, still colored, but now part of a larger readable morning. For a moment, the mind reaches again for a peek. It wonders whether there will be one last intensification before the effect fades, but that wish is softer than before, almost transparent. The pleasure has already happened in the watching. Indeed, the fading is part of it. Pearl tones flatten delicately. A band that glowed with blush and green settles toward silver. Another loses its lilac center and becomes a pale, smooth strip against the brightening background. The opaline quality does not vanish all at once. It thins, like steam from the cup in slightly warmer air, until you notice less color and more shape. You lift the thermos and pour the last of the tea. Steam rises, finer now in the brightening morning. The cup is warm, not hot. Your hands are fully accustomed to the cold around them. Your breathing is slower than when you arrived, not because you tried to calm it, but because there has been nothing here to brace against. Above the fjord, the nacreous clouds continue their quiet exit. Their bands remain smooth and elevated, but the iridescence becomes intermittent, surfacing in certain angles only, a quick pale green edge, a blush that disappears when you look straight at it and returns when your gaze relaxes. The sky's increasing brightness dissolves the special contrast that made them vivid. This is not disappointment. It is the phenomenon completing itself. You let it. The mountains are now plainly mountains. The berm is plainly a berm. The turnout is a roadside place with plowed snow, a parked car, and a pair of boot prints facing outward toward the water. The fjord carries faint, long darknesses where current alters the surface far below. Morning is becoming useful again, readable, named. You finish the tea and hold the empty cup a moment longer. No final check is needed, no proof. You have seen the sky brighten before sunrise, seen rare cloud bands in the stratosphere carry mother-of-pearl colors over the fjord, seen them pale into day. The experience does not need to be secured more tightly than that. When you turn back toward the car, the movement is unhurried. The snow gives the same compact crunch as before. One hand rests briefly on the cold roof before you open the door. Inside, the seat keeps the shape of your earlier warmth only faintly. The thermos fits into its place. The cup threads back on with a small, neat twist. You sit for a moment before doing anything else. Through the windshield, the turnout already looks ordinary. The sky above the fjord is mostly pale now, the pearl colors nearly gone, leaving only a few smooth high bands that could be missed by anyone in a hurry. The dark water remains. The mountains remain. The snow berm, the roadside post, the ridged packed ground remain. What has changed is slight and hard to measure, but you can feel it in the loosened way your attention rests. Nothing has been solved. Nothing has been claimed. The morning has simply become less crowded. Outside, the last trace of opal leaves the clouds. In your hand, the thermos cup is cooling. The car is still, the fjord is still, and for one more quiet moment before you leave, the pale day holds exactly where it is. Thank you for spending this time with the Night Sky Reader. May your night be peaceful. Until next time, rest well.